so maybe money doesn't grow on trees. But vending machines do spit out gold. They've revolutionized the precious metals market. Keep watching to find out how and why. So, gold vending machines. It sounds like something you'd find in 50 Cent's foyer, but in reality, it's the new frontier in the precious metals market. In 2010, a German company by the name Ex Oriente Lux installed the very first gold-to-go machine in the 5-star Emirates Palace Hotel. The machine sells 24-karat gold bars, weighing 1, 5 and 10 grams. It also sells gold coins from Canada, Australia and South Africa, and as an added bonus, they come in a sleek, decorative gift box. Essentially, it's a cash for gold without any of that pesky human interaction to deal with. Thank you, Germany. The machine itself is 6 feet tall and wrapped in a gold leaf finish. Depending on the inventory, they can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Even minus the weight of the machine, that's still over $20 million worth of gold available with a few taps on the touchscreen. They take both cash and credit or debit cards for user convenience. For security, each machine has multiple cameras inside it as well as around it. They monitor each sale. There is also an ID scanner to prevent money laundering and armoured guards in the vicinity for extra safety. Guards and ID scanners are all well and good for the protection of the machine, but what about the user? What are their guarantees? The gold-to-go machines sell 99.9% pure gold, also known as bullion. All items are only made with 24-karat gold supplied by a Swiss banker. We're not sure how much we're supposed to trust a Swiss banker's opinion about a German gold machine in the UAE, but they are famous for their banks. So the basics of the machine are pretty standard. You put money in and it spits out a product. However, gold is a lot more valuable than a bag of Cheetos, so there are a few more steps involved. The machines carry 320 different forms of gold that customers can get, from gold bars to wearable jewellery in varying weights. Pricing varies, not only because of different weights, but also because gold changes in value multiple times a day. According to the machine system, it's possible that it changes every 10 minutes or so. Ex Oriente Lux programmed the gold-to-go machine to refigure its price every 10 minutes to reflect the latest market values of gold. In theory, you and your friend could buy the same item for different prices depending on how much time is in between your transactions. Sucks for the person who pays more, but gold can be fickle in the short run. If you're willing to take the risk, the machines make it really easy to invest in gold. You can buy up to 10 items at one time. Apparently, that is the limit to prevent money laundering. As an extra precaution, each item in the inventory is monitored with radio frequency identification, or RFID tags. Ex Oriente claims the machine is largely burglar-proof and tamper-resistant. It seems like that's true, although we doubt they would say anything to the contrary. Theft and corruption aren't ringing endorsements for new inventions. And in a rare turn of events, the gold is actually sold at a fair price, despite also being very convenient. Ex Oriente says they've been able to stick close to the regular market value by eliminating employee costs. And if you're feeling buyer's remorse towards your new treasure, the gold-to-go machines have a 10-day return policy. We suggest visiting the machine at the beginning of your trip, rather than the end, if you're a regretful shopper. When you think about how much a gram actually weighs, the machine could be stocked with nearly 450,000 gold bars at any given time. With their varied selection, it's hard to say how many individual items are in the machine, but the box itself can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Currently, gold is worth $1,854 per ounce. When you do the necessary conversions, that means right now, a fully stocked gold vending machine could be holding up to $29,664,000. We're starting to understand the need for 5 different forms of security. So it's a machine that you can buy gold from. But who's it for? We understand that the concept is a little strange and people are attracted to it because it's new. But gold is a pretty expensive souvenir. CEO of Ex Oriente Lux, Thomas Giesler, said their major market would be walk-ups attracted by the novelty, as well as investors who want to bypass transactions in pawn shops. And he's correct that the machines get a lot of foot traffic, and they attract the average person because it's a giant gold box, but gold isn't exactly an impulse buy. The machine in London's Westfield shopping centre had a lot of mixed reviews. A young 26-year-old student was browsing through the machine and decided to do some extra research on his phone before making a purchase. When he came back, he knew that the gold in the ATM was more expensive than the market value. He decided to buy a bar anyway, as a souvenir. A 16-year-old boy said he would happily buy some gold if he had the funds. He said he had seen ads offering money for gold and it seems like a sensible investment. It seems the general consensus is that it's a good idea, but for the average person it's more about the novelty than an investment. Unless someone visits the machine with the intent to buy gold, it's not usually something people just decide to invest in on a whim. It's also not something the average person can afford at the drop of a hat, especially when you consider all the possible upcharges that could be attached to your purchase. But if the 26-year-old student is any indication, those things don't always matter. Sometimes the novelty, the memory, and the experience are more important than the financial responsibility. Ask anyone who's been skydiving or bought a sports car. Funnily enough, the 16-year-old boy who was interested in buying gold was correct. Gold is a very good investment that a large portion of people don't consider. Here's why. Gold is respected throughout the world for its value and rich history. Coins containing gold appeared around 650 BC, and the first gold coins were struck during the reign of King Croesus of Lydia about 100 years later. It's the metal that humans fall back on when other forms of currency don't work, which means it always has some value as insurance against tough times. Unlike paper currency, coins, or other assets, gold has maintained its value throughout the ages. It's a way to pass wealth to future generations with a modicum of reassurance that it will keep its worth. It's been revered since ancient times for its unique properties. Gold doesn't erode, and it can be melted over a common flame, which makes it easier to work with and stamp for currency. There's also the value of the dollar to consider. The US dollar is one of the world's most important reserve currencies, but it is fairly weak. Its value fell dramatically compared to other currencies between the years of 1998 and 2008. As the dollar lost value between 1998 and 2008, the price of gold nearly tripled. Gold is also a safe bet when it comes to inflation because its price tends to rise with the cost of living. This means that the price of gold soars even when the stock market plunges. And an obvious reason for gold's value is supply and demand. It takes 10 years to bring a new gold mine into production, and they were on a decline from 2000 to 2008. While supplies have fluctuated, demand is up. It's seen as a good way to diversify a portfolio because it has a negative correlation to stocks and other financial instruments. The bottom line after all the financial mumbo-jumbo is that gold is an important part of a successful investment portfolio. This is because its value increases in response to events that decrease the value of paper investments, like stock and bonds. It maintains its value over the long term and is a proven hedge against inflation and deflation. Any investor worth their salt would consider putting money into gold. In fact, increasing the amount of people invested in gold was one of Ex Oriente's goals with the gold-to-go machines. Although many people buy pieces from the machines as keepsakes, they're technically investing their money in a piece of gold. If customers use their coins and bars as an opportunity to monitor stocks versus the price of gold, the amount of people who understand the value of precious metals will increase. Gold definitely seems more straightforward than the stock market, and it doesn't take a genius to understand that the shiny metal is valuable. We can't exactly say the same for a bunch of numbers and line graphs, which is essentially what the stock market looks like to a layman. It looks like gold vending machines are here to stay. Since the first one was installed, the business has grown to a fleet of over 100 machines across the world. And with the price of gold going over $1,800 per ounce, it might be time to invest.